Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. This is Anime Octopus, and I'm truly glad to have you here on my channel. Whether you're a long-time viewer or someone who has just discovered this space, I appreciate your presence and support more than words can express. This channel is dedicated to exploring creative anime fanfictions, alternate universes, and imaginative what-if scenarios that take beloved characters and place them into completely new and exciting possibilities. Today, we continue one of our most intriguing and powerful storylines yet. Our fanfic topic for this video is: what if Naruko was a genius Ōtsutsuki goddess? Part 2. In this continuation, we dive even deeper into an alternate reality where Naruko is no longer bound by the limits of ordinary destiny. Instead, she rises as an extraordinary genius, carrying the divine power and legacy of the Ōtsutsuki. With intelligence far beyond imagination and strength that defies the natural order, her journey unfolds in ways that will challenge alliances, reshape battles, and potentially rewrite the fate of entire worlds. Expect intense developments, unexpected twists, emotional moments, and power escalations that push the boundaries of the original storyline. This is a universe where every decision matters, and every encounter can change everything. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is made purely for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage, characters, or music used in this video. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. This is simply a fan-made creation intended to celebrate and explore the imagination inspired by the original work. Now, without further delay, let's step once again into this alternate reality and continue the journey. Let's start, guys. When it was finished, Kakashi looked at Minato with a tired, knowing expression that said he had many questions about life choices, but chose silence instead. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, sat behind his desk and sighed so deeply it felt like the entire village could hear it. He finally spoke, choosing his words carefully. Minato Namikaze, this is the most confusing plan I have ever heard. You leave your child to grow up in uncertainty, and yet also trust the village to guide her path. All while believing it was for the greater good. Minato Namikaze gave a small, awkward smile. Yes. When you put it like that, it does sound complicated. A soft sound of laughter broke the tension. Everyone turned toward the doorway. Standing there was Anko, slightly disheveled from an intense training session earlier that day, followed closely by Kurenai, who looked concerned but calm. Anko crossed her arms and said, "You all worry too much. Naruko is fine. In fact, she's stronger than most of us expected." Kurenai added gently, "She's not just strong. She's been training with surprising discipline and kindness." Kakashi tilted his head. So the reports were accurate. Hiruzen rubbed his temples. And what reports would those be? Anko exhaled. "I challenged Naruko to a sparring match." The room went quiet. Kurenai continued for her, "It was meant to be a simple training exercise. But Naruko adapted quickly, read movements better than expected, and turned it into a learning experience for both of them." Anko nodded. "She's fast. Clever. And she doesn't fight to hurt anyone. She fights to understand." Hiruzen blinked slowly. "That is reassuring." Before anyone could respond, the door slid open again. 3 children stepped in confidently, Konohamaru, Moigi, and Udon. They looked excited, like they had just come from training. Konohamaru spoke first. "Where is Naruko ne? We felt her chakra earlier." Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. "You can sense chakra already?" Moigi smiled brightly. "Naruko ne is teaching us. She said it's important to notice the feelings behind chakra too, not just the power." Udon adjusted his glasses. "She also taught us that the most important shinobi skill is understanding others." Kakashi nodded slightly. "That sounds like something she would say." Konohamaru added, "And she said something Kakashi-sensei told her, look underneath what you see on the surface." Kakashi paused. "That also sounds like something I would say." Kurenai smiled faintly. "She's passing on wisdom already." Anko crossed her arms. "And she actually makes it fun. That's the strange part." At that moment, Kakashi vanished in a small puff of smoke. A silence followed. Hiruzen slowly turned his gaze upward, as if accepting his fate. The 3 children suddenly perked up. "Let's go find Naruko ne," Konohamaru declared. And just like that, they ran off, full of energy and purpose. Later that day, Naruko Uzumaki sat peacefully at a ramen stand, happily enjoying her meal. The warm light of the village evening made everything feel calm and safe. She stirred her noodles thoughtfully, her expression peaceful. She had been thinking a lot lately, about her training, her friends, and the strange new abilities she was beginning to understand. Not far away, Kakashi reappeared beside her seat. Without looking up, Naruko smiled softly. "You're here for answers, aren't you?" Kakashi sighed. "Every time I think I understand you, things become even more complicated." Naruko chuckled. "Then I should explain properly." Kakashi nodded. "Please do." Before she could begin, many familiar faces arrived: Anko, Kurenai, Hiruzen, Minato, Konohamaru, Moigi, Udon, and others from the village. They gathered quietly around the ramen stand. Even the busy chatter of the village seemed to fade. Naruko placed her chopsticks down gently. "I'll explain everything," she said calmly. "But I need you to listen until the end." Everyone nodded. Naruko continued, "During one of my early missions, I experienced something unusual. It felt like I was guided through a deep dream where I met powerful symbolic figures, representations of life, change, and protection. They didn't change who I am. They helped me understand it." She looked down at her hands. "I realized that strength isn't just power. It's responsibility. It's protecting people, even when you don't fully understand your own abilities yet." Kakashi listened quietly. Naruko went on, "My abilities are growing. I can sense movement more clearly, understand chakra in new ways, and adapt quickly. But I'm still learning how to use them wisely." She looked up at the group, her expression steady and kind. "And I want to use them to help everyone here, not to harm anyone." The atmosphere softened. Even Hiruzen gave a slow, approving nod. "That is the answer of a true shinobi." Konohamaru smiled brightly. "That's our Naruko-ne." Moigi and Udon nodded in agreement. Kakashi finally relaxed. "That explanation I can accept." Naruko picked up her chopsticks again, smiling. "Good. Now, can I finish my ramen in peace?" A few quiet laughs followed. And for once, the Hidden Leaf Village felt not chaotic, but safe, warm, and full of promise for the future Naruko would help build. She, with a warm smile on her face, asked, "Any questions?" Ino shot her hand into the air and asked, "What are Pokemon, and what powers did you get from them?" Naruko laughed softly and sipped her ramen before replying, "Pokemon are highly intelligent beings from a distant dimension governed by kami. They come in all shapes and sizes, and their abilities range from gentle beginner-level strength to the power of legendary guardians. The rarest ones are incredibly powerful, but they are also wise and balanced. Kami-chan granted me the powers of only legendary Pokemon." She paused for a moment, then continued, "The first of them is Giratina, the ghost/dragon ruler of an alternate dimension. She has two forms. Kami-chan once called her a rebellious princess. When I tap into her power, I can create rifts between spaces and step into a pocket dimension. I can also safely store things there. Next is Moltres, a flame guardian whose fire is stronger than any ordinary blaze. Kakashi, Zabuza, Haku, Anko, and the people of the Wave Country have already seen a demonstration of her power in a safe training setting. Then there's Articuno, her icy sister, who can create beautiful snowstorms that can freeze even vast landscapes in moments. Anko has seen her power as well during training. We also have Kyogre, who can shape vast oceans and water systems with graceful control. With her help, I can create large aquatic environments, and in extreme cases, reshape water on a massive scale. Mewtwo is another one. She is very intelligent and has strong psychic abilities. With her power, I can communicate mind to mind, move objects carefully, and assist others using telekinesis. Kakashi, Zabuza, and Haku have seen small demonstrations of this too. And finally, Zekrom, a storm guardian who commands lightning and energy. She is incredibly powerful, but also calm and balanced, and her strength can influence weather patterns on a grand scale. Everyone listening became very quiet in surprise, except Konohamaru, Moigi, and Udon, who were watching Naruko with shining, excited eyes. Haku asked gently, "If you are part of the Eternal Deity Council, does that make you the youngest member?" Naruko nodded. "Yes. The oldest are Izanagi and Izanami. Though I would never be disrespectful to call Izanami-sama old to her face." Zabuza, thoughtfully changing the subject, asked, "Will you use the symbol from the people of the Wave Country as your official symbol?" Naruko shrugged lightly. "I don't see why not, for now." Anko asked, "Are any of your summons strong enough to stop a raging-tailed beast?" Naruko considered the question carefully before replying, "Strength isn't really about size. It's about balance and control. There are about 18 that could handle situations like that, including Kemi herself. Everyone blinked in surprise. Kurenai asked, "You said size doesn't matter. Why not?" Naruko smiled gently, and Kurenai looked slightly embarrassed at her own wording. "It just means power comes in many forms. For example, Mewtwo can influence thoughts and calm conflicts. Articuno can create peaceful blizzards. Darkrai can create deep, calming dreamscapes to help people rest. Suicune can purify water and help heal the land. Moltres brings warmth and light wherever it is needed." Asuma asked, "How many Pokemon are there?" Naruko replied simply, 720. Everyone gasped. "That many?" Naruko nodded. "Yes." Sarutobi asked, "Do you want me to inform the council about this?" Naruko said calmly, "You can tell them if you want. I'm not hiding it. I just don't think there's anything to worry about." Inoki sighed. "This is going to be a long meeting." Naruko chuckled. Ayame asked, "Will you tell your teammates?" Naruko shook her head. "No need right now." Kiba laughed. "Are you afraid the Uchiha will ask you to make him a god?" Naruko laughed too. "No. I'd rather finish my ramen than deal with that kind of request. I'm just worried about how Sakura will react when she finds out." Akamaru barked softly in agreement. Hayate asked gently, "Will you let your new strength affect your attitude?" Naruko shook her head. "No. I'll keep training like always. Getting stronger just means I have more responsibility to stay focused." Might Guy suddenly raised a fist dramatically. "Yosh! The flames of youth burn brightly in you." Rock Lee jumped up excitedly. "Naruko-kun, you are now my eternal rival." Naruko blinked, confused. "I'm sorry. Did you say something?" Guy and Lee both froze dramatically. "Our eternal rivalry has been born." Naruko turned to Kakashi. "What just happened?" Kakashi gently patted her on the back. "That's just what happens when you inspire people too much. They get dramatic." Yuago asked, "Do you need help with your Kenjutsu training?" Naruko nodded. "That would be helpful later. I also need training to keep improving my control." Shikamaru sighed. "Troublesome. I see your situation now." Naruko smirked. "No, Shikamaru. It's not trouble. It's just life with too many energetic people around me." Konohamaru asked excitedly, "Will you teach us cool techniques?" Naruko replied kindly, "Only if you keep studying, listen to Iruka-sensei, and practice your basics properly." Iruka blinked. "You taught them tree climbing already?" Naruko nodded. "Yes. It helped them focus." Shino asked calmly, "Are there bug-type Pokemon?" Naruko smiled. "Yes, Shino. There's even an entire category of them, including some very rare and special ones." Shino smiled slightly. Kakashi asked, "Are you still going to correct Sasuke and Sakura when needed?" Naruko replied lightly, "I just try to help them improve." Sarutobi coughed at a joke someone made about his habits, and the group laughed. Neji then asked, "What about your old family connections?" Naruko became calm. "I've chosen my own path. I'm Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze no longer. I walk my own road now." She then turned to Sarutobi. "I'll need my things moved back to my apartment." Sarutobi nodded. "I'll assign a Jinan team for that." Naruko added, "Just not Team 7, please. I want to avoid unnecessary drama." Sarutobi agreed quickly. "Understood. Team 10 will handle it." Ibiki crossed his arms proudly. "I finally beat your training record." Naruko raised an eyebrow. "Oh? By how much?" Anko smirked. "1 second." Naruko laughed softly. After finishing her ramen, Naruko stood and stretched. "All right everyone, I'll see you later." She left the stand calmly. The next morning, Naruko arrived at the training grounds early while the sun was still rising. She began her routine, push-ups, crunches, and sprints, while carefully practicing hand signs and rhythm. "I need my movements clean and fast," she said to herself. "That way, everything stays smooth in real situations." After 2 hours, she stretched and noticed someone nearby. "Lee, I know you're there," she called gently. "Let's train together for a bit." Lee appeared enthusiastically. "I accept your challenge, Naruko-kun." Naruko sighed playfully. "Let's just start." The two of them trained together in a friendly and energetic spar, focused entirely on improving their skills. It was not about winning or losing, just learning and growing. Later, Sakura arrived and saw the two of them finishing their practice, both smiling and breathing lightly from effort. A strong wave of training energy filled the air, but it was stable and controlled. Sakura watched in surprise, realizing how serious and disciplined Naruko had become. Kakashi appeared nearby and spoke casually. "Good timing. Let's go get a mission briefing." Naruko nodded. "All right, Kakashi-sensei." Together, they walked forward, ready for whatever the next day would bring, while the village slowly woke up around them. 4 days later, Naruko was playing a lively game of ninja tag with Konohamaru, Moigi, and Udon. She had promised to help them improve their speed and awareness, so the four of them dashed through the village streets with laughter and excitement, turning training into a cheerful game. Earlier that day, Sakura had said something a little sharp in frustration, but Kakashi had responded with one of his usual harmless pranks that left Sakura flustered and embarrassed rather than angry. It was nothing serious, just another one of those strange moments that often happened around Team 7. As the children turned a corner during their game, a sudden bump and shuffle echoed ahead. "Ow! That hurt," Konohamaru's voice called out. Naruko's expression sharpened with concern as she rounded the corner quickly. There, she saw Konohamaru being held up by his scarf in a rough but clearly non-lethal scuffle by a boy from the sand village wearing a dark hood with cat-like ears. The boy looked annoyed, but not truly cruel, more like someone who had gotten carried away in a misunderstanding. Behind him stood a blonde girl with a large fan resting on her back. She watched the scene with a tired expression, clearly unimpressed. The girl sighed. "Kankuro, put him down. We don't have time for this." The boy, Kankuro, frowned. "I'm just teaching him a lesson about not bumping into people." The girl, Tamari, crossed her arms. "And I told you not to start anything unnecessary." Before things could continue, Naruko stepped forward quickly, her presence calm but firm. "That's enough," she said clearly. Her voice wasn't harsh, but it carried a steady confidence that made everyone pause. Konohamaru wiggled free at just the right moment and landed safely on his feet. He immediately stuck his tongue out playfully at Kankuro. "See? I'm fine." Naruko gently placed herself between them, making sure everyone had space to breathe. "We don't solve problems by grabbing each other during a village game. This is supposed to be training, not trouble." Kankuro looked mildly annoyed, but Tamari gave a small nod of agreement. "He started it by being careless," Kankuro muttered. Tamari sighed again. "And you made it worse." At that moment, the air shifted slightly as another presence quietly joined them. A red-haired boy stepped forward from a nearby tree branch where he had been observing. His expression was calm and thoughtful. Tamari blinked. "Gaara." He landed softly and looked at Naruko, then at his teammates. After a brief pause, he gave a respectful bow. "I apologize for the misunderstanding. There was no intention to disturb anyone." Kankuro scratched his head awkwardly. Tamari relaxed slightly, clearly relieved the situation was settling. Naruko nodded once. "That's better. We're all here for training and the upcoming exams. Let's keep things peaceful." Gaara's gaze softened just a little. "Understood." Konohamaru crossed his arms proudly. "Yeah. We were just playing ninja tag anyway." Naruko smiled faintly. "Then keep your awareness sharp. Because of what happened, the three of you will now practice a new exercise, dodge training with Anko after you attend Irika's lesson on awareness." All three children groaned at the same time. "Do we have to?" Moigi asked. "Yes," Naruko said gently but firmly. "It's important." Soon after, the children headed back toward the academy, still grumbling but unharmed and safe. Naruko turned slightly toward the Sand siblings. "I look forward to seeing you all at the Chunin exams," she said politely. "Tamari of the desert, Kankuro of puppets, and Gaara of the desert." She gave them a small nod before turning away. None of them said it out loud, but Kankuro looked impressed, Gaara seemed quietly intrigued, and Tamari's expression softened with faint respect as they watched Naruko leave. Later, Naruko arrived at the bridge where Team 7 was supposed to meet. As expected, Sakura was speaking energetically to Sasuke, who stood nearby with his usual distant, brooding expression. Naruko simply sat on the railing, calmly observing the sky while polishing her sword, Jinx, with quiet focus. She ignored Sakura's nonstop chatter. It wasn't worth getting distracted over something so repetitive. Naruko had a free hand when it came to Sasuke. She had already defeated him several times in practice matches, often without even fully trying, and she didn't feel the need to prove anything anymore. Soon, Kakashi arrived in his usual mysterious swirl of leaves. He glanced at them over his book and smiled slightly. Good. You're all here. He handed each of them a paper. You've been entered into the tuning exams. If you choose to participate, report to room 301. Even if you don't, I'm proud of how far you've come. With that, he vanished as quickly as he had appeared. Naruko stood quietly for a moment, then gave a small nod to herself. The next step of their journey was beginning. Later, she left the village rooftops in a soft burst of motion and arrived at Training Ground 8. Kiba, Shino, and Hinata were just leaving as she arrived, and Naruko briefly wondered where their sensei, Kurenai, might be. Closing her eyes, she focused gently, sensing the emotions nearby until she found Kurenai not far away, her heart heavy, her thoughts unsettled. Naruko appeared beside her quietly and sat down on a nearby log. What's wrong, Kurenai-sensei? She asked softly. Kurenai quickly tried to compose herself. Nothing is wrong. Naruko gave her a calm, knowing look. You know I can tell when that isn't true. Kurenai sighed at last. I was going to tell Asuma how I felt. But I saw him with someone else. It just hurt more than I expected. Naruko nodded gently. I understand. That kind of feeling can be very painful. Kurenai looked away. I should stay strong. Naruko shook her head slightly. Being strong doesn't mean hiding what you feel. It means allowing yourself to heal properly. A small silence followed before Kurenai gave a quiet, tired laugh. Is that what you and Anko do? Pretend everything is fine while dealing with it your own way? Naruko smiled faintly. Something like that. But it helps to talk, too. After a moment, Kurenai's shoulders relaxed a little. Then she asked softly, Am I pretty, Naruko? Naruko blinked, then answered honestly and warmly. Kurenai-sensei, you are one of the most beautiful people I know. Not just in appearance, but in the way you care for others, the way you teach, and the way you stand up for what's right. Kurenai's cheeks turned a light shade of pink as she looked away. Naruko reached into her pocket and took out her black guitar. Would you like to hear a song I've been working on? She asked gently. It's called Walk on Water or Drown. Kurenai nodded softly. Yes. I'd like that. Naruko adjusted her grip, took a steady breath, and began to play, filling the quiet forest air with a calm, hopeful melody that matched the beginning of a new chapter for them all. Naruko finished her song softly in the quiet evening light. It was a melody she had written herself, one about feeling overwhelmed, about learning to breathe through heavy emotions, and about finding comfort when someone kind reminds you that you matter. Her voice lingered in the room for a moment before fading into silence. To her surprise, she noticed a small group of friends and mentors standing nearby who had been listening without her realizing it. Among them were Kurenai, Anko, Ino, Hinata, Tenten, Ayame, and even Haku. Instead of chaos, there was warmth in their expressions, quiet smiles, gentle admiration, and a few teary eyes from how heartfelt her song had been. Ino clapped excitedly. That was beautiful. Naruko, you should sing more often. Naruko blinked, suddenly shy. She scratched her cheek and gave a small, awkward smile. I guess I got a little carried away. Hinata stepped forward softly. Your voice was very comforting. It felt honest. That made Naruko pause. Then she smiled a little more naturally. Thanks. I'm glad. After everyone left, Naruko stretched and returned to her small apartment, letting the calm of the night settle over her. That evening, she kept things simple. She tidied her space, checked on a few of her small inventions, tiny chakra-assisted devices she had been carefully building for learning and communication, and made a quiet note in her journal about improving them. She had big dreams, but she liked working step by step. For dinner, she cooked something quick and warm, eating peacefully at her table while thinking about the song she had shared. It felt strange to be seen so clearly, but not unpleasant. Afterward, she took a long, relaxing shower, letting the water wash away the tiredness of the day. When she stepped out, she changed into comfortable clothes and sat at her desk for a while, gently adjusting one of her prototype devices with focused attention. It's coming together, she said to herself with quiet pride. Slowly, but surely. When she finally felt sleepy, she turned off the light and climbed into bed. The next morning, Naruko woke up with sunlight warming her face. She stretched, then froze. Something soft was beside her. It was one of her blankets, nothing strange at all. She blinked once, then laughed at herself for being startled by her own imagination. I need more sleep, she muttered. She got ready quickly, ate a simple breakfast, and headed out for the day. At her apartment door, she paused when she noticed small notes left behind by her friends, kind messages saying they had stopped by earlier to check on her after her performance, and to encourage her to keep sharing her music. Naruko held the notes for a moment, then tucked them carefully away with a soft smile. "Everyone is so dramatic," she said gently, though her tone was warm. At the academy, the morning air was bright and full of energy. Students gathered in groups, talking excitedly about upcoming challenges and lessons. Naruko leaned against a wall for a moment, listening to the sounds of life around her. She slipped on her headphones and hummed quietly, not performing this time, just enjoying the music for herself. Her eyes lifted toward the sky. "I don't need to be perfect," she thought. "Just steady. Just me." She pushed off the wall and walked forward with calm confidence, ready for whatever came next, not as someone seeking destruction or attention, but as a young kunoichi learning, growing, and building her future one step at a time. Guys, that's all for now. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and supporting me. Regards. Anime Octopus.